He does the welcome and any announcement or anything, and then um, we we do have a treasurer who is out there in Colorado, but I think I'm gonna give his report unless Wally, you want to do that, and then I will introduce Judge Lozano. She will speak for a couple minutes, and then I will introduce our keynote speaker, Tracy. Yes.
May I ask, can everyone please mute yourself except for the person speaking? Thank you.
Okay. All right. So Bob, go ahead.
All right. Well, this is going to be a worthwhile program tonight. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm glad to see we have so many people. We had a lot more people tuned in around 6 o'clock than we usually do. So hopefully, as the program keeps going, we may have maybe 8 or 10 more that will join because we have some folks that always like. Thank you ever so much for being willing to do this, and I'm looking forward to it. And all of you who have not turned in your pledges yet, or your monthly or your yearly dues, please do so. I mean, we need to go to Brazil.
Okay.
Let's go.
Right. Okay.
No, but seriously, we would love to have it because we have some things planned for later in the year. But thank you for tuning in.
All right, thank you, Bob. All right, so the treasurer's report, our treasurer who used to be here in Houston, Wally Calloway, he decided to move to Colorado. So he's still on Zoom here. Wally, do you want me to do the treasurer's report or you want to do it?
No, please. I don't have any idea what's going on.
Okay, all right. So as of today, as of this morning, we have all of $1,411.04 in our bank account, and there's quite a few folks who have still not paid their membership dues. So I put the details in the chat. So please mail us a check. We are looking at making it easier so you all can make the payment online. Okay. With that, I just want to introduce Judge Dolores Lozano. She's here to talk for a couple minutes about all the wonderful work that she has been doing about renters' rights. So, Judge, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. It's a pleasure to be with all of you this evening. I am Judge Dolores Lozano, and I currently serve as the Justice of the Peace in Precinct 2, Place 2. My courthouse is located in Pasadena at the John Phelps Annex. Happy to share some updates from our court. When I took office, it was my promise to the community to bring humanity back to the courtroom. And so with that, I've been listening to tenants and also providing them with different resources. And so in 2023, with the support of the National Center for State Courts, we launched an eviction diversion initiative where we provide resources to tenants, help them get connected to GED programs, help them find workforce jobs and opportunities, also help them with rental assistance. We've helped like over 300,000. Well, we've had over $300,000 worth of rental assistance be provided to tenants over the last 3 years. Harris County has expanded the program, and so we're looking forward to continuing this initiative throughout the county. Also, in my courtroom, I noticed that a lot of folks were not able to afford an attorney. And so last year, we were able to bring a legal kiosk that is free and available to folks that can't afford an attorney. And not, you can set up an appointment. You don't necessarily have to ask questions about evictions, but if anyone you know has questions about divorces, immigration, any type of legal questions, they can come down to our courthouse, which is located at 101 South Ritchie Street in Pasadena, and get connected to an attorney within minutes. Our hope, again, with the Eviction Diversion Initiative, and happy to share that it's an award-winning program. We received an award from the Texas Association of Counties and Texas Housers. And so Judge Dubel and I are leading the charge with this program, and our hope is that this program gets expanded to all 16 courts. But both of our courts are a hub for tenants who need resources. So if you know anyone that needs legal aid assistance or needs help finding a job or getting back to school, please reach out to us. I will give Mohammed our contact information so that you can contact one of our eviction diversion facilitators. Does anyone have any questions about what we're doing at our JP courts?
Okay, Judge, and if there's
Awesome.
any questions later on, I will collect them and email them to you.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for
Thank you,
joining us.
Mohammed. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
You guys have a great one.
All right. Thank you. All right. So now for our main keynote speaker is Tracy Downey. Tracy is a mass communication graduate from Sam Houston State University and a member of the Society of Professional Journalists, of which Ruth used to be the former president and she's a board member. She co-hosts the Wake Up with Brian and Tracy morning show on 101.7 FM station KSAM in Huntsville, Texas, weekdays from 6 to 10 a.m. She's also a freelance investigative reporter covering the Southeast Texas area. The topic of her talk and presentation today is the pollution in the Trinity River. Why matters it to you? So please join me in welcoming Tracy to our monthly program. Go ahead, Tracy.
Thank you, Mohammed. I'd like to say thank you to all of you here in Amnesty, as well as Bob and Ruth for inviting me to be the speaker this month. It means a lot to me. I've been working on this story since I was in college. I graduated from Sam Houston in December, but I started doing this because when I worked in the hospital, we were getting constant patients from Trinity. They were getting really sick, and then they were getting sick with stomach pains. They were getting sick with bed sores or certain sores on their bodies that couldn't make sense with what it was. And the more research I did, a lot of people were saying you need to talk about them with the water. So I did my investigating on that, and this has a long history. I've only lived in Texas for about 5 years, but when I dug into this, apparently this has been, mostly people seem to think this is more of Dallas, Fort Worth area issue, or for Trinity itself in Trinity County. But why it matters to Houston is because of Lake Livingston. And Lake Livingston is the man-made lake that was created in 1971 by the Trinity River Authority. They are in charge and they own it. And the issues have been that because of infrastructure, we're going to get into that, it's a big challenge right now because we're losing water. And because we're losing water and infrastructure is over 50 years of age, we're having lots of breakdowns, systematic failures, and natural disasters have increased. And therefore, we've had more flooding because they don't have the capacity to hold flood waters because the reservoirs were not made for them. And so therefore, because of that and runoff, all of these issues combine into a big compound issue that are putting people into a situation where they have to settle for groundwater or bacterialized water. And it's getting worse instead of better. They're trying to make strides in trying to make the situation easier, but smaller municipalities are getting caught in the mix. And that's how it can affect the little small towns in Southeast Texas. So we'll go to the next slide. That is a picture of the Trinity River as it is right now. It looks really murky, doesn't look very good. Its history goes back all the way to 1925. Next slide, please. It is 710 miles in length, supporting 38 counties here, including Tarrant, Trinity, Walker, Liberty, Harris, and of course, Chambers County. In 1925, the Texas Department of Health and Human Services called it the River of Death because of Swift and Armour slaughterhouses dumping dead cow carcasses from Fort Worth stockyards. So that's always had a reputation of being a polluted river. Typhoid fever, issues of that, and dying bodies being put into the river. And it's been also called, according to the Texas State of Historical Review, a muddy dirt creek with Texas wastewater flowing through. That is how the Trinity River is surviving because of the wastewater management from Houston to Dallas. And I'm going to go into that. Next slide, please. The drought is Texas is losing water. Population growth, 32.5 million residents are going to be here by 2030. We have an aging infrastructure, as I mentioned. Most drinking and wastewater systems have been broken down because it was built in the 70s, as I mentioned, and it's the leading cause of pollution contamination here at the mercy of Mother Nature. According to the American Society of Community of Engineers, the graded infrastructure Texas report card was a C minus. Even though it was a C minus, overall drinking water got a D minus. The Texas overall water supply is going to decrease by 2070 by 18%, according to the Texas Water Development Board. And the rule of capture law is why this gets confusing. Landowners who can get the water from the ground, they own it. And according to the Texas Tribune, the Ogallala Aquifer, it holds over 3 trillion gallons of water as of right now. It's just being sitting there because it belongs to the majority of it to the landowners, and they're not selling it. Water has become the most valuable natural resource in the state of Texas. It's more valuable than oil. It's more valuable than the land itself. And with underground water being 55% of the state's water supply, it becomes a battling ground in the courts. Next slide, please. Now, Mark Boyd said that the Texas is growing rapidly, fueling need for resilient, modern infrastructure. Now is the time to act, because if we don't take action now, we're looking at a deficit in the next 10 years. Texas ranks third is the highest growth rate in the United States at 11.4% between 2020 to 2030 at 32.5 million people living here in Texas, and we don't have the water to supply it for everyone. The Living Waters Project says that Texas loses 572,000 acres of feet per gallon per home or business every single day. And according to TCEQ, all water utilities now must have an emergency preparation plan in place for the outage events, including right now, we just kicked off hurricane season. Next slide, please. According to the Texas drinking water grade is a D minus. Every time Houston or Dallas flushes the toilet, the Trinity wastewater plant keeps the river flowing. Approximately 495 acres long from the West Fork of the river, serving 20 cities in the Dallas Metroplex area. That's 1.4 million customers. Now, since 1955, TRA has been managing Lake Livingston and the Trinity River itself from Tarrant all the way to Chambers counties, including the 17 counties in the Southeast Texas area. Using aerobic and anaerobic bacterial components removes the pollutants and disinfectants to remove solids in the waste in a dewatering facility across the counties through the pipelines. So that is how every time when you flush it, it goes all the way up to Dallas, but it's supposed to get cleansed in the center through that pipeline. The problem is it's not doing that in the city of Trinity. It's the opposite. It's almost like what breaks down in the center in the city of Trinity prevents any kind of cleansing water from Dallas to Houston. Okay, we're going to talk about that. And the lift stations and the pipelines are basically the substations, which we use for a pumping system, is what's breaking down because it's over 50 years of age. Next slide, please. Lake Livingston itself, as we mentioned, was completed in 1971. It was a contractual agreement between the Trinity River Authority and the city of Houston. It is 8,300 acres, and it was financed and constructed as a dam, and TRA owns it and operates it to this day. Trinity River Authority has not been always forthcoming with the information about broken down systems, failures, as well as pollutants, or transparency with complaints from people constantly contacting them for breakdowns in their municipalities. And this gets talked about in the Sunset Commission's report for 2025. Lake Livingston Dam is 7 miles long, and it only is the only dam that is the main edge of the Trinity River. It has 0 flood control, and that's what we're facing now. The dam is controlled by 12 tainter gates, and its concrete spillway mimics the river's behavior. So anytime we have an overflooding, where it's up in Trinity, whether it's up in Walker County where I live, where it's up, up there and even in Dallas, if that water flow is too heavy and too much, that's when they open those gates, therefore flooding the entire areas of Trinity and Riverside and so forth. The elevation is 131 feet above sea level, and it serves municipal and industrial supply for 4 surrounding counties, including the city of Houston. Next slide, please. The challenges that we're facing is Lake Livingston's infrastructure is outdated. It has no flood storage capacity, cross-contamination due to aging infrastructure and Mother Nature. It cannot supply enough water for the increasing population that's coming. The loss of water pressure is the cause of the boil notices. And Trinity's, the city, faced anywhere between 5 to 8 boil notices in one single year. The high nutrient concentration in the Trinity River can impact the quality of the water. So while it might be okay recreation-wise to go camping or so forth, you're not welcome. You're not recommended to drink it or bathe in it or swim in it. The system failures and overflows, those are another situation because of those and the damage and the spillage, and not enough impact on the construction, according to the Texas Sunset Commission report that just came out January 2025. Next slide, please. The challenges for TRA, according to the Texas Sunset Commission's report, auditor independent review. They don't have somebody independent to speak out against the system. And they're recommending that that needs to be done. They say to develop a more detailed action regarding its strategic plan by becoming more proactive, avoiding miscommunication, expand internal oversight of construction and engineering, adopt a clearer policy. TRA's governing laws and processes do not reflect standard element for commission reviews, conduct a formal analysis and assess risk and evaluation of cost, benefits, and strategic decisions, and developing and maintaining a complaint system, making the procedures available to the public. Trinity River Authority does not do this. If you want to even do an open records request, even as a journalist, you have to go through their attorney. They do not give you all the information directly, not even within the 5 to 10 days. When it comes to being a customer of the Trinity River Authority, they have a complaint system that they have to go online, and they have to go through several hoops to jump through just to be heard. And if it's not written in the direct manner, they don't get heard. And it's not out for public view for the people to see how many complaints they're receiving per year. And that has been an issue. Next slide, please. According to the ASCE findings, the Texas infrastructure is in inadequate condition. Continuing investing in Texas infrastructure by appropriating funding and revenues because they've had insufficient funding in the past. Periodic review for ratepayer adjustments. And I will be talking about Westwood Shores because the ratepayer adjustments, people are paying twice as much for their water than they should be, according to the state average. For example, the state of Texas's average water bill is anywhere between $293 a year. The Westward Shores community in Trinity pay $200 a month. And that's not including their dues. And they can't even drink the water. So next slide, please. Their government subdivision was built in 1972, Trinity's Westwood Shores. A lot of businessmen that live in Houston live here. It is their vacation homes. They bought through real estate investments. So they could go boating on the water, or they could go to the lake, they could have the family come over for the weekend. But unfortunately, because the water is so contaminated, or because of the unpleasant smells in the river itself, they don't bother to go. So they're losing money because of it. You have lawyers, you have web developers, you have business owners. All of them have Westwood Shores as a secondary home from Houston. The residents have the highest pay rate for water in the entire state. The average mud water bill per month runs between $152 to $200 for water they cannot even drink. The residents constantly complain that their water smells like baby puke after taking a shower. from the sulfur dioxide, the high rate of TTHMS from high levels of chlorine, the total trihalomethane gases in the water may cause cancer, kidney, liver, and stomach issues, according to the EPA. This is why the EPA currently is watching with the TCEQ to see that things are being taken care of, because due to these loopholes that the state has created for itself for Trinity River Authority, the complaints were not being heard until Trinity Westwood Shores decided to sue the Public Utilities Commission. The high exposure to sulfide dioxide causes upper respiratory infections. So if they're breathing this in on a regular basis, whether you have children or the elderly, that can cause serious health issues. And their astronomical rates averaging $450 per month, including their POA fees. Their case was still pending, but I just got this notice today that according to the administrative law judge, concludes that the Westward Shores mud did not demonstrate that the rates appealed were in public interest. And accordingly, the ALJ recommends that the commission grant the appeal and set just and reasonable rates. So they just received a win, which is congratulations to them.
Yeah.
Next slide, please. The stormwater issues and the rule of capture. If you know what the rule of capture is, we've lived in Texas very long, it's very simple. If you find water on your property as a landowner, you own it. And that is the issue. A lot of landowners do not want to separate. They want to keep their water. Most of them are farmers, have like agricultural, they have livestock on their properties. And these waters, they don't want to share the resources. The Texas Water Development Board provided near to $2.19 billion in funding for over 165 water infrastructure restoration projects in the state in the past 5 years, including Westwood Shores, that recently they submitted a contract last month. Due to aging infrastructure, over 470 rivers in Texas now have become impaired with pollutants. The cross-contamination has already happened. So even if you have clean water according to the TCEQ, you're still getting cross-contaminated water from the Trinity River, because all those rivers feed that one river through their wastewater management. And when systems break down, therefore, the failures to the systems can affect the drinking and the municipal water as well. There was this lawsuit with Bragg in 2023. They were able to sue and win, according to the state, because there's a sovereign immunity with a lot of the municipality public utilities. As we know, what happened with ERCOT with the grid in 2021. And they said that with any level of government, including groundwater districts, that takes property of public use without paying because the landowners want to get paid, and this is the issue that they're fighting in court currently, it's the owner's loss. And Mark Mace, the executive director of the Meadows Center for Water and the Environment, said it's a creepy disaster, because even though there's 3 trillion gallons of water right now in the Ogallala aquifer, it evaporates because of our high temperatures and because the water, it can't keep staying, because we're still getting with the drought because it's too much heat. Next slide, please. The TRA's Texas Anticipation Projects, this was mentioned in the report into the Sunset Commission. However, they wanted to see more transparency on that. Their proposals for 2025 and 2026 are plant odor control in the wastewater plants and corrosion management, control chlorine and sulfur dioxide contaminants in central wastewater systems, roadway repairs and replacement as needed, such as manholes. In Westwood Shores, a manhole actually broke, considering dumping sewage into Lake Livingston. And this just happened in January, and it happened last June. And they're still repairing these lines. And TCEQ has recently given Westwood Shores now up until June 3rd, tomorrow, to have everything repaired. Feed equipment and supplemental chlorine rail car storage building, rehabilitation, replacement of aging infrastructure, scrubbers to scrub leaks of either restored chemicals, upgrade the substations and the pump stations, and the existing chlorine sulfur dioxide feed systems have not been replaced since 1989. So that's the big issue. And that's the cost structure right there, is finding the budget and the funding for the state to keep creating, to replace the old infrastructure and place it with new, which will create more jobs, which is a good thing, but at the same time is not finding enough funding to keep up with the growth that we're having in the state. Next slide, please. And that's it. Human right debate on whether way you want on the side you want to be on. I believe clean water should be a human right. I think every homeowner should have it. I think they should have to pay a reasonable price, not have to pay over $250 for water they can't even drink, bathe in, or shower in. I mean, or even swim in, because of the high levels of chlorine that can actually make you sick and burn your skin. That's another thing. And then, of course, we're also seeing in the wetland areas that a lot of the agricultural livestock and a lot of the species, they're not surviving. So we have to do something about that. So does anybody have any questions?
Oh, sorry, Doug has a question. Go.
Hi, Doug.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, this is so amazing that there can be that much wrong, but I'm not surprised. I had one question, which is where is the Westwood development? Is that way up north near Dallas, Fort Worth, or is it down here?
It's down here. Westwood Shores is only 35 minutes away from Huntsville, where I am. So therefore, it's only 2 hours away from Houston itself.
Okay, so that's north of Lake Livingston?
That would be actually maybe 15 miles from Lake Livingston. It's not far.
Okay, I was just trying to figure out where it is.
Yeah. Picture you got Houston down here. You've got the Woodlands right here. You've got Willis here. You've got Huntsville here, and Trinity is right above it. So it's in the center, toward between Madisonville and Houston. That would be the best way to say it. It's nowhere near Dallas. It's about 2.5 hours away from Dallas.
Right. Okay. Well, it sounds like, is it the Trinity River Authority? I'm not sure what the right terminology is, but what are they doing?
That's
Nothing.
Nothing. That's what the Sunset Commission wants to know. They have anticipated projects they have put out. They put out plans for it, but according to the Sunset Commission, they think they need to be more clear and transparent with their words and their action. They don't feel the action is meeting up with the words or the planning and where the money is coming from. That's the question.
Right.
And there hasn't been enough transparency. So when a customer complains to the Trinity River Authority, like, listen, this smell is going on in my municipality. The water stinks. I can't bathe my niece or my nephew or my son or my daughter, my infant or whatever. Or my father is old and, he needs help in his water areas. And that's not when there is a natural disaster. This is a regular, continuing basis of what they have to deal with. And they don't have any way to show their complaint levels. They keep everything completely sealed. And the Sunset Commission says it needs to be public.
Yeah.
There needs to be some accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Sundown review was of the River Authority. It's not the TCEQ. That's totally different, right?
Correct.
Right. Okay.
I was looking for anything on the TCEQ, possibly on that. I have not found that yet. It's just been on Trinity River Authority and the overall state of what should be done according to the ASCE. They were very serious about budgeting that and getting basically all lead pipes removed in the state of Texas, because that should have been done in 1988. They've gone past their prime with it. And because the structures are all over 50 years old, they've lived their life and they need to all be replaced. And they're all systematically breaking down around the same time. So when Trinity developed this contract with the city of Houston, that's when a lot of these municipalities went into power in that area, for that Southeast Texas area. And because of it, depending on, for Walker County here in Huntsville, our aquifers are different from the city of Trinity's. And then the aquifers are different from the ones in Dallas. They're different from the ones down in Conroe. And they're different than the ones in the San Jacinto area with Lake Livingston. So it's like, well, which one? It depends on how many people are in the population. And it also has to depend on how well the structure is being pumped on a regular basis. If certain municipalities are not pumping the water, or they're not having the water management companies taking care of it on a regular basis, you're going to get the overflow and you're going to get the contamination because they have nowhere else to put it.
Okay, next
One last
is,
question.
oh,
I'll give you one last question.
right. Okay,
But
Bob.
asking questions. And that is the members of the board for the River Authority, are they all up on the north side?
Most of them are all from the north side. There actually is one, though, from Trinity, the city. And also, they also talked about that as well in their report. They think that they should have it where apply a standard across the board requirement regarding the governor's appointment of presiding office to the TRA board, apply the standard across the board requirements, board removal, and Trinity to TRA. So they were very firm about it. They said TRA's governing law and processes do not reflect some standard elements of the commission reviews. In other words, double talk. They're getting one word here, but they're not getting a clear, concise explanation for why there have been so many systematic failures. Where's the money going?
Amen.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
I was one of the ones that was sick.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
Benita
so I
got
think,
really sick from the
next
water.
is Linda and then Bob. Linda, can you
Hi, Linda.
ask your question?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
But in the beginning, you said something like the I think about the aquifers, but you said that Trinity, because it's in between Dallas and Houston,
The
they
city
get
of Trinity, yes, the city of
doesn't
Trinity
get
is Trinity
cleaned.
County, and it's in the city. It's in the center. It's in the center between Dallas and even Conroe. That's the best way to put it. Okay.
Yeah.
They don't have an adequate sewage system that was not put in place. They have their water wells. Trinity, Westwood Shores is separate from the city of Trinity itself. Most of their water is coming from a different place. It's coming from this public service from the city of Trinity itself, whereas Westwood Shores is getting their water straight from Lake Livingston. So therefore, if they're not having 800 houses being pumped on a regular basis, and they don't have the documentation to show TCEQ that it's being done on a regular basis, it's being an evidence of it being dumped into the lake itself, into Lake Livingston, you're already contaminating the drinking and municipal water for the infrastructure. And that is the issue that TCEQ right now is trying to get under control.
So the water's so bad basically because they're just dumping the waste into Lake Livingston.
That and because they got fined for that. They got fined. But to me, the fines do not justify what's being done. That's personally my feeling on it. Because as a reporter, you're like, well, if this is the small amount of the fine, then if they can afford to pay this small fine, then how is anything being corrected at a regular rate? I mean, why do these people have to wait sometimes 1 year to 2 years just to get something fixed, and then something else breaks down? And their lift stations and substations on their water well A, I've already completely failed. So they had to be down to water well B just this past March. And they had to be supplied by Trinity Rural Water for the city of Trinity to give them to flush out their system, because there's not enough water pressure to do it, because their water wells only 330 feet deep.
And what's the name of that aquifer that you said?
The one that's in Dallas Metroplex, that is
privately owned.
Ogallala. It's Ogallal. Sorry, Ogallala, and then there's the Edwards Trinity Aquifer.
Ogallala.
That's it. Thank you for pronouncing it. I have a hard time to it, Dawn. I appreciate that.
But you said Okawala is privately owned.
It's not
Not
privately
a-
owned. It's just 3 trillion gallons of the water is mostly owned by landowners for the state of Texas. Yes.
okay.
And they want to get paid by the state if they use their water.
Oh,
They don't want to put it into the water resources for the cities or for the municipalities. They want it to be brought back to them. So, for example, there's a guy named Chip Tabor who lives in Westwood Shores, but he owns quite a bit of land in Trinity itself. And he has, this is another story I'm working on. He bought 55 acres across the street from Westwood Shores, which used to be a railroad, one of the first oldest railroads. And the Railroad Commission built this water reservoir just for people working on the railroad. His water can be hooked up to Trinity Rural Water easily, and he can get paid by Trinity Rural Water to use his water resources if he wants to. But he could not use his own water on Westwood Shores property to drill through at 970 feet deep and use his own water. They capped it, $150,000 worth of damage. And he had the rights and he had the permits from the city and the state. So it's the water battle is a big issue here in Texas.
Right. Hey, Bob, your turn now.
I've got a couple of comments or questions, but
Yes, sir.
first, I sent a video to Muhammad today, and this was a video that was on a news station in Dallas showing the Trinity, how clean it is now. This was February or March of this year, and how dirty it was, and then they planted grasses and they did all kinds of things, and early on they had 4 different kinds of fish. Now they have more than 30 kinds of fish in there. So
Right.
why is that so much cleaner than what is coming down south? Second question is, these farmers who have the water on their land further south, they don't want to give that up, but isn't that water contaminated, and isn't that dangerous for crops to put the chemicals and all that sort of thing into the ground that these crops are going to drink from? And it looks like it'd be bad for a person's health.
Yeah, it's a dirty mess, because the fact is that regardless if they hold on to that water or not, by 2070 they're going to lose 54% of it. 54% just from evaporation and usage.
Wow.
Just gone, because we have not created something to keep replenishing it. And while Texas up there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area is talking about how the water's improved, because as you know, they were known mostly as the one that had the worst water than everyone. The issue has been the systematic failures with the aquifers, as well as the wastewater plants and the substations and lift stations in between. That breakage down in the center is what's going to prevent it from reaching its success level. Because as long as that is broken and it's not replaced on a regular basis, and these municipalities just continue taking the fines and eating it, and then they're still selling property to people from out of state, they don't even know that their water is a problem, that they will have to have a boil notice this month, that they might go okay for 2 or 3 months, and then they have another boil notice because they don't have enough water pressure to pump it. And when they find out that these systems have been failing, and it's not just in Westwood Shores, it is in these rural towns. So these rural towns are at the mercy of speaking their word of mouth and basically getting educated at this point to finding out what their rights are. Because as long as they think that there's nothing going on, they're going to think nothing's going on. And that comes into also with journalism. Journalism is disappearing in all the small rural towns. The one here even in Walker County, they couldn't afford me to be on their payroll, so they had to let me go. So a lot of journalists are doing freelance. But in these rural towns, they're only getting the copy. They're only getting the press release. They're not getting the investigations. If it wasn't for me doing all of this for the past 2 years, and for so many people being so angry and frustrated and speaking out, people from Houston who have property up there, from Fredericksburg that have property up there that say it's not right. I don't think this would have been even touched until it was too late. And the problem is that as long as people aren't being known complaining to Trinity River Authority, Trinity River, because it owns it, can do what it wants to do. They have sovereign immunity for the state. And so grateful that the Sunset Commission did bring their report to Congress, the state Congress, because the Water Commission there can make their decisions, because it's not a Republican or Democrat issue when it comes to water in the state of Texas, because seriously, it's now the most valuable commodity that Texas has.
Well, let me ask you, if we had a normal administration in Washington, could they sue the state of Texas to get all of this cleaned up?
That's when I talked to the EPA specifically on that question, and they would not answer, because apparently certain people that work for the government are not allowed to talk to certain reporters anymore about these type of issues. Mm-hmm. And that you're redirected to our state representatives and our state legislatures for those questions. But EPA will say, and they did say to me, they are on top of it and they are watching it, because for us to get a D in drinking water, that's a serious concern, because people are getting sick and therefore they're filling up the hospitals. We are down to one hospital here in Walker County, but Trinity just lost their hospital. So now they're going to be either sent to one other city or another city. And if the water issues are continuing to make people sick, and this is what they're trying to disprove, and they're doing it really hard, it really does take the majority of a village to come out and speak about what is wrong with their waters. And one of the things that I thought that was really disturbing to me when I toured the property, they wanted to know who I was. They wanted to know how I got on the property, who gave me the pass. You're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be there. I mean, it was pretty interesting, because I was touring and I went to the substations myself and I took photographs of it, and you could see the raw sewage from the pump station has like been barely pumped. It looks like it hasn't been pumped in 2 years. There's 800 homes on the property.
Wow.
Yeah, it's sad.
There's a
Thank
question
you
in
for
the
answering my questions. Thank you.
there's a question in the chat, Mohammed.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Oh, I think you talked about the various Westwood shores. I think Tracy already answered that question.
No, she's asking who does Tracy work for, and can we get a copy of your slides?
Oh, okay.
Oh, sure. The slides that I gave, Ruth has them. She can just make copies and you're welcome to get to them. That's perfectly fine. I did all my research myself. I work right now for the radio station, but I also freelance here in the Southeast Texas area. So I submit articles to Madisonville. I submit articles to San Jacinto. I submit articles to here in Huntsville, as well as Postcards Magazine. And I'm trying to get this story into the Houston Chronicle. And I approached Kelly Scott, and Mohammed knows this. We did this back in 2024 in the spring, and she seemed really interested in this story. And I tried explaining to her, if you lose the small towns journalism, you're gonna lose your readers, because they don't have true representation in these rural areas, and they need them, because all they're getting is a copy report. They're not getting enough investigation. They can, like, the news can go ahead and say, oh, okay, Livingston is getting polluted or whatever, it's having issues, but if they don't get to the heart of why this is happening and what's going on, how is accountability going to be met? So I'm grateful for Society of Professional Journalists. I'm thankful to Mohammed and Ruth for allowing me to speak to all of you about this today, because it does concern you, and it concerns everyone in the state of Texas. It really does, because you want clean drinking water, and that should be just a common sense thing. We shouldn't be having third world country water in the state of Texas. It just should not be happening. And for it to be because of 50-year-old system breaking down, and I'm sure the governor knows this, you need a replacement. You need a better plan in motion, but you need to know where the money is also going to go. And Texas Water Development Board, like I said, they've already put in like $2.19 billion into the state in funding. But according to the ASCE, they said that it's not sufficient funding. They don't see where the numbers are adding up. And so therefore, it's either going to go into the tax base for the mud waters, or it's going to go into the city, county.
Hey, Jeanette, you have a question? Jeanette Sexton.
You need to unmute yourself, Jeanette.
Comment. I read a thing on industrial research report that's done nationally. I think it's anyway. It's estimated that the annual sales of bottled water in Texas now is reaching about 1.5 billion.
Correct.
And if you've ever been at a busy time at HEB and checked out, you see people with carts full of bottled water. And in Clear Lake, we have supposedly a good water system that we've worked on here for a number of years, and people have been involved in that. But it's a big infrastructure problem, I think, all over. And if you drive on Houston streets and you look at those streets, you can get there a corresponding picture of what our water system looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tracy, there's a question in the chat from Janet Sexton. She says, how are the Piney Wood Spring in Wood County, Moffett Spring in Walker County, and Roher Spring, Henderson County impacted?
I can answer for Walker County because I live in Walker County, Jeanette. Our water is pretty good here. We do have cleaner aquifers here in Walker County. I don't know why. Everyone says it has to do also with the sandbars. The sandbars are very different than they are in Dallas compared to they are here. The closer they get towards Houston, the more finer the sand, the better the water also is. But from what I've been told, the residents here of Walker County, they have not had systematic failures like that. Not like Trinity has. No. So Piney Woods is good. It's good. But the problem is that drought, though, is an occurrence. If we don't get enough water this summer specifically, we're continuing to lose probably approximately, 570,000 per day. Another like 3% within the year, because depending on how the hurricanes come out, the wind damage and the structural damage, because you already have aging infrastructure, that's where the big costs are coming from.
Roger, you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question. I was just sitting there thinking, at the state, the representative that represents that area, has he or she been confronted to present that to the state?
Which person from the state?
I'm talking about the state rep, not the state.
Congress.
Yeah.
Oh, for Congress.
The state. Oh, yes, or for the state. Just the state representative.
I approached Pete Sessions' office here in Walker County, and I told him about the situation. He told me to stick with just state representatives because it's a state issue. It's not a Congress issue. I found that interesting, but that's what he said. But for the most part, according to the people in Trinity, in the city of Trinity, what is it? State Senator Robert Nichols, Benita, has been helpful to you. It's who's the one that
Senator Nichols was the only one that was helpful. None of the rest of them. We've emailed everybody, attorney generals, TECQ, anybody that we could to try to get us help. Abbott, all of them. I there for a while. I emailed every day and sent them stuff. You know, please help us. You know, I'm sick. I almost died twice. You know, I've been in the hospital with E. coli infections and nothing.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's been
Mhm.
pretty quiet. It has been pretty quiet. But when I told them that I was trying to get open records requests on this, they wanted me to be very specific with TCEQ when I was doing the open records request on them. And then when I got what I asked them specifically was, I'm still waiting to hear from Trinity County, from Region 5's epidemiologist. Still haven't heard from them on what is the ranking and how many infections have been reported from like cryptosporidium, for example. That's also in Trinity's River, but it's also in Walker County's water. It is a superbug, cryptosporidium. It cannot be killed by bleach or by chlorine or any of the bacterials that try to kill it. And when you consume it in too much of a consumption, when the water's not clean, it can cause stomach problems, infections, bacterial infections. And if you have a low immune system like I do, it can show up in different ways. It can show up like your hair is starting to fall out, or you can have sores, infections like sores on your legs or on your skin itself, you know, from the burns and the mess from the bug itself. They have no way to kill it. I asked an epidemiologist here, Dr. Khan here in Sam Houston State University. He told me MRSA can live in water. And he told me that it would be really advisable for the state of Texas, or for across all 50 states, for the health department to not just keep an eye on wastewater, but drinking water as well. He says that we need to start monitoring it. We're not doing enough to do that.
All right, so I think we have time for one more quick question.
Oh, could I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
Thank you. If we were to encourage people to take action tomorrow, what immediate action would you like them to take? Well, what would you encourage them to do? Who to contact?
I would say your best bet is get your water tested. And after you get it tested, have it measured. Go on to the TCQ website to see what your levels are. And then this is what I would do, is you want to go ahead and ask your state or your city representatives, what does it take for it to be clean water? What is it clean water to them? Is this, if it's a C average, what we're getting from the state alone independently, then how do we get it to an A? What do we have to do to get our water to be top notch, so that people, when they do move to Texas, they got clean water, our marshlands and our wetlands are protected. You know, we're not making people sick, and we're not, you know, a way to rebuild it. I personally feel it's really going to take people in Houston alone to realize that they're, just because Trinity, the city of Trinity, is all the way up north from them, 2 hours away, what happens there still affects Dallas. It still affects Houston, because that's the water coming down to you. And if Lake Livingston gets contaminated, which is the water supply for the city of Houston, you're getting the cryptosporidium. You're getting all of those contaminants with it. It's going to make you sick. It's really going to take bold epidemiologists for the counties, and it's going to take bold leadership in the state for action. And the only way I would recommend it is if more journalists keep on reporting on the water. I think Texas Tribune is doing an excellent job of keeping that alive, because the minute we stop talking about it,
It's forgotten.
they can go silent. Yeah, we have to. Because if we don't start getting to the heart of these mud districts, because the mud districts, they're ones that are controlling it, their mud taxes, they've got autonomy to do what they want to do. Same thing with Trinity River Authority. If we don't put that spotlight on them in these smaller towns, and we start really doing the investigative work, I personally feel they'll just go radio silent. I really do. So I always keep trying to talk to as many people. When I reached out to the people in Westwood Shores, I had over 50 people come to me, and I was really blown away by it. I really felt that with more people getting involved with that, they were not challenging their state. They just want to improve it. They just want facts and they just want clean water. I mean, that's a common sense thing. I mean, if I have to go all the way down to League City to talk to somebody because the water is so bad in Trinity, because they don't even want to go up there because it's a mess, but the municipality doesn't care, and then the TCEQ is so inundated with the calls, they don't even want to go out there because they've even had to call the constable to come out there because some members of TCEQ didn't want to report it. They had to call the EPA because it was a health hazard, a hazmat issue. I mean, a woman had a river of poop in her backyard because one of those manholes broke, and her home is right next to the lift station. So if we don't, it's like an Aaron Brockovich movie. If we really don't put the pressure on for them to fix the infrastructure and keep that alive in the speaks, in the questions, and in the conversation, I think we could be in trouble, because in 5 years, 2030, we're going to have 32.5 million people living here, and we're losing water, 570,000 gallons a day.
But you would encourage us to call our state reps?
I would.
Yes.
I would.
Okay.
I would, because the more noise from them will get it to the Congress people, because election season is next year. And this is a great topic to talk about because everyone knows it's a problem. Everyone.
Why would people move to Texas?
I'm a Texan, born and raised.
Yeah, me too.
I think I
just
came
can't
here.
imagine why I would
False
come here.
advertisement. False advertisement.
You don't know.
There is false advertisement because some people are being told that one thing about the water, they're not being told the other. My son is moving here though next year, which I'm excited because my granddaughters are coming. I think Texas is one of the most beautiful states I've ever been to because of the wetlands, because of the trees, because of nature being so close, and all the luscious green. And it has its cons because of the natural disasters. Like we've got, what is it? They got 21 hurricanes listed for hurricane season. And they're talking about possible tropical storms, disturbances already next week. So that they're not used to that. But what I also think though, is that if we get people to put a system in place, we can keep rebuilding the water. We just have to put the investment into it. One of the things that the one thing that they were talking about that I have that Trinity River was talking about, the authority that they were going to do is a hydro. I had to pronounce it right. Please don't forgive me. I'm looking for it. It's a hydro. Where did it go? I have it. Hydrological engineering plant to maintain appropriate control over the reservoir levels. This hydro plant is supposed to be something that control how the river behaves and how it can actually put in place to level off. Because one of the complaints that I hear from people in Montgomery County is why they knew the water was going to flood. Why did the Montgomery County choose to open the levees and flood it all at once? Why not do it a little bit at a time, They want to put infrastructure in place to where they can minimize the flooding, because in Trinity and in Riverside, in those areas, they don't get that luxury. So when Lake Livingston overflows, they get hit, and it floods the lower bottom levels of Trinity. Riverside, Greenrich Shores is already being hammered down in the Riverside area. So in the lower levels of what they call the bottoms are basically 16 feet deep of water, but they're prepared. They know that this is going to happen. So it's almost like don't sell land in these bottom areas so where people can't, get stuck. And number two invest in the infrastructure that's going to help with the flooding and minimize it, but to also use those groundwater resources that falls from the ground to put it back into our aquifer system.
All right, it's 7:30 now. Hey, Tracy, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. It was
Yeah, you did a
wonderful.
good
Yeah,
job.
wonderful.
You
Yeah.
know, when
Thank you, Tracy.
Muhammad asked me to do this. What was it? Was it 6 months ago you asked me to do this? It was
Yeah.
6 months, right? I was so nervous. I was like, what the heck am I going to do? What am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? He said, oh, no, you can do it. You can do it. You can. He says, you can do
Yeah,
it.
you
You
Muhammad
can.
can.
has that
I
way
said,
about him.
okay, well, I can talk about I'll talk about what's going on with the Trinity River, because you're going to hear one story, you know, and I know in a newscast, you're going to hear like the little bits and pieces. There's improving things, and that's great. But investigative reporting is different. We know that. It has to do with getting your feet dirty, going in the muck, and talking to so many people. And it can't be condensed in a 5-minute, segment. It just can't.
Yeah, so you did a good
Yeah,
job,
thank you.
and
Thank you,
yeah,
Tracy.
thank you so much.
Good
And
job.
we really want you to come back maybe in
Uh,
6 months or 9 months and give us a report of if things have improved, because our members are extremely active, and I would not be surprised that tomorrow they will be calling their state reps and senators
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
to do something about this
And you
issue.
got Letitia on
This
here
is
too.
really, such
You,
a
you know,
Okay.
if you
shocking
don't
issue. Yeah.
mind just for a second, I have a question.
Yes,
Is,
sir.
is there any way that you could maybe send out some talking points that we can be summarized real quick? Because a lot of
Yes.
times these legislators, we go to, it goes straight to voicemail. They don't give us a lot of time to talk. Could you
You
give us
mean
a
you mean
talking
like
point that we can?
yes, I can. Yes, I can. You mean
Okay,
like something that would be said like in an advertisement, basically over and over
yeah,
again, like
60
Yeah.
second,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Bullet point.
Yeah.
bullet
yeah.
points. I
Yeah.
can do that.
And I will convert Tracy's slide from PowerPoint to PDF and share it when I share the recording of this meeting also. Okay. And just as
Okay.
a reminder, our next meeting is on July 7th, if that's the first Monday of the month. And you are working on getting a speaker from the Galveston Bay Foundation.